officially late.
Love
You know,
that.
Albert, you're right.
Yeah.
We're in
No,
cardio-
people just came in.
It's a cardio.
Not here yet. We spoke to him earlier. He was en route.
Okay. That's time. Introduce them. It's going to.
No.
You in it. List. And retired and wait, you introduce them when he. We're like. Yeah, and then there's Paul. So the opposite.
No brainer.
Face from everybody's. Oh, he's the happiest guy.
Arm crash.
He was good.
I go
Very.
around the car.
Hey, can you tell me?
Add the-
No, is watching. And
I
so
did-
Brad.
They're looking for pilots, aren't you? I mean,
Not yet.
so we got out of the business.
Yeah.
I always said when he's kind of polishing.
Eric?
You know.
He is here now.
Oh, no, I thought my dad, I would have to look at my, we'd see these guys that were really.
You can come up here or I can move down further. Like, I can come here.
So hard.
Yeah. Okay, we are live and we are. Like 3:30.
Can't even train.
Ready to start.
How do you?
Oh, I had. Can we have your names? Yes, please. I'll go get it though.
Glad to have everybody here this morning. Let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Board of Directors meeting of the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency. We're at the.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Just a moment.
Really good.
It's so good, you can hear me twice.
There you go.
Rosie. A moment. This one? Yeah, asked him, you want me to reach the phone and coordinate something, and then he said, no, I've got to do it. And he was just away last week. One of them.
Yeah, thanks.
I will remind him, but he.
I don't know this guy. What is he?
So I.
Okay. Okay, again, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Board of Directors meeting of the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency. We're at the
Okay.
B Building, 201 West Third Street, Jamestown, New York. Also electronically via live stream and Zoom. We'll go ahead and start with a call to order. Gary Henry's here, Rhonda Johnson,
Here.
Dan Hetzenrader, here, Kevin Muldowney,
Here.
Kay Churchill,
Here.
Sagan Sheffield Smith,
Here.
Brad Walters.
Here.
Thank you. You should have already received the minutes from the April 25th meeting and had a chance to review those. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Kevin, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. We have several people visiting us here today, and we have some here present, some that are with us on Zoom. We have Rachel Gardner from CBRE, Steve Kaufman from Refresco, Paula Blanchard from Hannity Realty, and Bob Murray from Harris Beach. And so we just like to welcome everybody here. Just thankful for everybody's participation this morning. Also, we're thankful to have the county executive here, Paul Wendell. Would you like to share any comments this morning?
I got an extra napkin.
Thank you, Gary. No, yeah, really excited. What we saw yesterday, 2.5 millionth engine built in Jamestown engine plant. I've told it, Nana gets a kick. I have a long-standing relationship with Cummins Engine. But, I think it was important to listen when we met with them several months ago and their administrative team that, their investment of nearly $500 million is to continue the efforts in Chautauqua County for another 50 years. They've been there 49 years, right? So they're looking to invest for another 50. So when you look at where we are, what we're doing, people do not do business or continue business in an area if it's not doing something right. So on behalf of myself and the residents, thank everybody here for what we're doing. We got some great information, great news coming along, the pipeline today with some of the decisions, but also some other things that we've heard of that are going to be happening, be able to make those announcements in the upcoming future. So I'm really excited, what the IDA is doing. As always, we'll face criticism for decisions made, or if there happen to be, hiccups or road bumps, so, speed bumps along the way. But at the end of the day, this group and everybody as part of this board is always looking to improve, our industrial capability here in Chautauqua County and increase our economic development. So I thank you for that. And really excited to come back every month and hear about the great things we're doing.
Thank you. And if I read correctly, you were heavily involved in several million of those engines assembly.
Maybe about 500. I realized that was not the job for me. I appreciate the attempt, but it is.
We'll go ahead and move into new business. We'll start with A, the sale of property located at 26 East Talcott Street and East Talcott Street, Dunkirk, New York, to Refresco Beverages US Inc. And Mark, are you going to lead that presentation?
Yeah. So, I've been keeping the board abreast of what has been happening with the Talcott Street building that we own, and we've owned for almost a decade. And over the years, making every attempt to sell the property, and because of course it's sitting in our hands with, collecting rent and lease on it. It's still in an upside down proposition for the IDA. And it's really not serving maximum ability to the community. So we've been negotiating with Refresco for almost 2 years now. And they've made the decision to move ahead and purchase the facility from us. And, this is really gonna, I think, do two major things. Obviously, it's gonna improve the economic viability of the area, because they're gonna be investing, upwards of about $13 million in the facility, and employing people in the city of Dunkirk. That's really good news for our community. So Refresco is looking at acquiring the facility, and that's what we're going to talk about today, and renovating, investing heavily in that facility. It's a 243,000 square foot building, if you don't know, and this is really going to help Refresco to really secure their presence in our community. That was the old ConAgra facility, and before that was Carriage House and Craft. The IDA purchased that facility 7 or 8 years ago, we have been trying to sell it since then. We've gotten a lot of interest, and people have looked at it. We've had requests from the state, through Invest Buffalo Niagara for the facility, and have been unable to sell it. So, today is a very exciting moment for us to get this in the hands of an incredible company, Refresco, who employs over 600 people in Dunkirk. And they do bottled beverages nationwide. And this will enhance their supply chain in Chautauqua County. And as the second part of this, we're going to be considering a 15-year pilot, adaptive reuse pilot, and which will help retain jobs. And then I also said create jobs, into 10 jobs that average around $65,000 per job, and 75 to 100 temporary construction jobs. So I think that the actual resolution talks about, we've been trying to sell it for many years. It's currently underutilized, and there's a substantial carrying cost on that facility. And the investment in the premises will spur economic development. The sale price is $1.4 million. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, Millen?
No, other than this resolution is just authorizing the sale. In 2-3 minutes, you'll see the next thing on the agenda is the sort of standard financial assistance package, which we'll talk about in a minute. So this is just for the sale.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Mark, you want to introduce Steve?
Yeah, I didn't know if I should do that now or Steve, do you want to add anything, Steve or Rachel, to what I just stated?
Thanks for having us. Rachel Gradner with CBRE. I understand the next resolution is specifically related to the incentives that we've been working with this team on. So I'll pause here and allow Steve to jump in and provide any additional background on the business. And then I don't know if you want me to go into kind of the project and where we've been and the work that we've done. And thank you for your time over the last couple of months. Certainly, Christine, I think I see you back there as well. So appreciate the partnership thus far and really glad to be here.
Steve, did you want to say anything?
Well, thanks, Mark, and I do appreciate the opportunity that we've had to work together. The prospective acquisition and evaluation for repositioning and reconditioning is certainly something that we've spent a lot of time and energy from our local team looking at and exploring. And certainly it's not a finished product by any means. It's got a lot of hard work and heavy lifting in front of us. But we do appreciate the opportunity to continue to work with you and the team at CCIDA, as well as the city of Dunkirk and the state. And Dunkirk is a very accommodating place for our team. The employees, the stakeholders have all viewed and visited the plant in Dunkirk and hold it in high regard with its position for Refresco in the Northeast. We look to continue to invest in the region, hire in the region, and are putting forth a plan to our leadership to help revitalize that facility. I say that it's not a fait accompli and it's not a finished product because the context of making it work has a lot of moving parts, but we do appreciate the work and the help that you've given thus far, and look forward to many years of continued partnership with you all.
Thank you, Steve and Rachel. And we may have more questions when we get to the next matter of business, but we can go ahead and start with the resolution of the sale. Rhonda, would you move resolution A1?
Yes. Resolution 05-23-23-01 of the members of County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency to sell to Refresco Beverages US Inc. certain property located at 26 East Talcott Street and East Talcott Street, Dunkirk, New York.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Kevin, thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
Jay Churchill.
Aye.
Sagan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Brad Walters.
Aye.
It's unanimously approved. And I think the most exciting part of this sale, besides Rich not having to go there in the middle of the night, whenever they have problems, is the expansion that they're looking to do and how this is an existing business, as you mentioned, employs a lot of people. And so that leads us right into the next matter of new business, and that's new business B, Refresco Beverages, Inc., presented by Mark.
Oh, I don't know if there's more to say than what I've already said. Again, and I'll let Millen talk about the particulars, but we're offering them an adaptive reuse pilot. I've had many discussions with the mayor. He's thrilled. He's thrilled that, Refresco is taking it and not somebody else. You know, especially because they've got such a strong presence in our community, and this is going to help them put another stake in the ground. And we're also offering sales tax exemptions on for this as well. So I don't know, Millen, do you want to add to that?
Nope, other than this is the sort of now standard three resolutions. In a second, with the chairman's okay, we'll hold the deviation hearing. And then there'll be a deviation resolution, a seeker resolution, and then a final approving resolution. So with that, I'll open the deviation hearing. I note that on May 5th, a notice of the deviation was sent to each of the affected tax jurisdictions, and we received no correspondence either way, either in support or against the project. So
I think Mark did receive comments from the mayor regarding the deviation.
Yeah, he approved.
Right.
Yeah, he was all in favor of, yes, he was all in favor of, and I said that earlier, but he was all in favor of us moving forward.
okay. So are there any members of any affected tax jurisdiction who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, I close the hearing. And
Rachel wanted to say a few words on it.
did Rachel want to say a few words?
I'm
About
happy
the-
to, yeah. So was just going to give a little bit of background on the project. We've been working with Steve and his team as they evaluate various investment across their portfolio across the US. We help them build their business case that they bring to their leadership in order to make a decision on where best suits the need of the business. So there's a lot of internal competition for capital. This is a critical piece of their decision making, and an important one to see that pretty significant investment of around 13 million and 10 new jobs. So again, appreciate the support here and happy to address any questions.
Mark, would you like me to review the unperformed since transaction committee?
Sure.
So CCIDA held transaction committee on May 3rd, where staff was authorized to proceed through due diligence toward potential approval of the pilot and tax lease application. We held a public hearing on May 15th at the Fredonia Technology Incubator in the city of Dunkirk. No members of the public attended, and no written comments have been received.
So there will be three resolutions. There is the deviation resolution pursuant to deviation hearing that we just held. There will be a seeker resolution. In your package, you will see the seeker resolution. This is an unlisted action, and your resolution analyzes the 17 factors that go into a secret determination. And we recommend the finding of the board that there's no adverse environmental impacts. The third resolution will be the final approving resolution, which, as Christine mentioned, approves a real estate tax abatement and a sales tax abatement. They've not asked for mortgage recording tax abatement. The value of the real property exemption is estimated to be $731,175. And the estimated or the maximum for the sales tax will be $1 million in sales tax exemption for the project.
Thank you. Did we have any questions from the board? Dan, would you go ahead and move resolution B3?
Gladly, I'll move resolution 0502 deviation approval resolution Refresco Beverages US Inc. and resolution 05-23-23-03 secret resolution Refresco Beverages US Inc. and resolution 05-23-04 final authorizing resolution Refresco Beverages US Inc.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sagan. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
Jay Churchill.
Aye.
Sagan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Brad Walters.
Aye.
Unanimously approved. Thank you. We'll go ahead and move into business C, SL Sherman LLC and SL Sherman 2 LLC, presented by Rosie.
I apologize. If it's okay with the board, I'm just going to call the Rizzos. They're having an issue joining the Zoom, so I'm just going to put them on speaker.
Could I just,
Yeah.
the refresco, as a person that lives in the city, represents the city, I go all the way back to Craft with that building. I've been through it with Mark and Christine and Lori Taylor. Got, bless them for watching that building for 5 or 6 years. I never really thought it was gonna happen. I really didn't. I mean, the building is humongous. And, for you people to carry it for how long was really, in my opinion, very remarkable to do that. I remember when the IDA bought it and they were so excited about possibly another company coming in, but this makes so much sense because it is, like Mark said, part of their campus. It backs up to the Cliff Star campus. And I really want to thank the company for working with the IDA. As a city resident, as somebody that represents the city of Dunkirk, this is great news, and this is great news for Chautauqua County. So well done.
Yeah.
Once again.
Excellent. Thanks, Kevin.
Adam, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can, Rosie.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, board. Today we have SL Sherman and SL Sherman 2 LLC. This is a total of a 9.625 megawatt solar farm located on approximately 34 acres in the town and village of Sherman. The total project cost is $13,703,000. The application is requesting a pilot for property tax abatement, sales tax abatement, and mortgage recording tax abatement. Village did the seeker and it was concluded with a negative declaration. Back in March, I presented to the board the due diligence agreement and resolutions, which was approved. April 21st, there was a public hearing for SL Sherman and SL Sherman 2. Transcripts have been included in your board packet. And then today we are presenting a seeker resolution, final approving and deviation resolutions. I do have Adam and Nathan Rizzo on the line. And then of course, Mayor Meter is here with us in person to describe the project. And then Jeanette, would you mind sharing the site plan that I sent to you? While Jeanette is pulling that up, I will let Adam and Nathan provide a brief overview of the project, touching on if there is a decommissioning plan and any site mitigation.
Great. Good morning. Good morning, all. This is Adam Rizzo from Solar Liberty. Thank you for this opportunity to provide this pilot for this exciting project. This project is very important for many reasons. This is a great public-private partnership for this project where not only will the town, the village, and the county receive pilot funds, and it will also be long-term lease arrangement for the village as well. So this is one of our first projects where we work with the township on this level. And Mayor Meter has done an amazing job in promoting this vision of hers. And we were very proud to be working with her and the village. We will have a decommissioning plan in place, and the amount of site mitigation was very minimal for these properties. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on this project.
Any questions for Adam? If not, Mayor Meter, would you like to say anything about the project?
Sure. So our wastewater treatment plant is located very close to where the array is at. And we already were involved with Solar Liberty. We had a few panels on our roof. We were doing a $7 million upgrade. So we had to reach out and say, this is what we're doing. And would there be a chance that we could expand on our panels, given that electricity the utilities is a major cost to running the sewer plant? Well, now we're here with 2 community arrays.
So with that, we're right along French Creek. So we were very concerned as to what type of environmental stormwater issues. I believe Barton and the Judas our engineers really put them through the ringer with the secret process. But in that too, right from the onset, we were concerned about the fact that it is agricultural property. And Solar Liberty has been great. Our operation and maintenance agreement involves keeping it agricultural. So we're going to continue to enrich the property. There's seed mixture plans in the O&M. There is plans for grazing. So they're going to then be contracting with farmer or farmers. And also, I believe it's called apiculture, where it involves beekeeping, and that is well on the property. So this is a very exciting project all the way around. We have less than 300 households that have water and sewer in Sherman. So as you all know, as you're expanding water around sewer and water around the lake, and that these are very costly infrastructure items for such a small community. So the fact that this lease money is going to help support that type of infrastructure for our community, as well as the pilot that you're working on today, the host community agreement. And then once the interconnection happens, then we can, as we get closer to that, we're going to start negotiating for a discount on residents and commercial electric bills. So this has been, in some cases, these projects benefit maybe one individual and then some tax assistance to the rest of the community. But this entire project is for the community. And it's been challenging in some ways, but a very rewarding project for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Meter.
I would just like to add that Colleen, it's an understatement. It was challenging. She did an exceptional job here working with everyone involved. And of all the solar projects we've done, Colleen, this one above all, I mean, it's just a win-win. The community gets the revenue from the land, the host agreement, the pilot payments. It's just a great project. I was glad that I could help a little bit. So good job.
Thank you.
And also, how long was the process to get to today? A couple of years, would you say?
Oh, we're over 2 years now, are we not?
Yeah.
Adam, when did we first reach out to, when did the IDA host the meeting here in Jamestown to introduce the subject of solar coming to your area, start preparing for zoning, that literally that month. So it was a few years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mayor.
but you've been a real trooper through the whole mayor, and we appreciate you and your board and everybody that's been involved in it, and the IDA as well. We're very thankful.
Thank you, Adam. Is there any other questions for Adam or Nathan or the mayor? If not, we do have a deviation hearing that needs to take place, as well as the resolutions, which I will have Millen go ahead and take over from here.
Sure. We're going to open the deviation hearing. I note that on April 26th, certified mail return receipt letters were sent to each of the affected tax jurisdictions. And obviously, we've heard from the mayor. I don't think we've received any other written comments. This is a 25-year pilot, and it's $3,500 per megawatt, which is sort of where almost all of them are falling these days. If there's no other questions, are there any members or representatives from any affected tax jurisdiction who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, let's close the hearing. And again, there's actually 5 resolutions, because technically this is 2 different projects, because it's 2 different owners, even though I don't see anymore, they're right next to each other across a small road. I say 5 because there's 2 deviation hearings, 1 for each project. But from a seeker perspective, even though the seeker is already done, the IDA was not an involved agency. It was not named as an involved agency. So we need to do our own seeker analysis. Again, in your package, you will see 1 seeker resolution. The reason for that is for segmentation. Seeker doesn't like you to sort of take bits and parts of a bigger project. So rather than face the criticism that we've taken really what in essence for environmental purposes is 2 projects or is one project and segregated them. We're gonna do one resolution that covers both. So we looked at the impact of the entire project, both halves of it. You'll see in your resolution, we analyzed the same 17 factors and have come to the same conclusion that there's no adverse environmental impact. And then coming back to the final resolution, there's one for each of the two projects. Those are the three resolutions,
Thank you.
or five resolutions, actually.
And can we move all those resolutions at the same time?
Certainly can.
Okay. Kevin, would you go ahead and move those resolutions for us? Short straw.
All right, certain, resolution 05-23
I'm gonna discount.
-23-05, approving the deviation resolution SL Sherman LLC, and resolution 5-23 -2306, approving the deviation resolution SL Sherman 2 LLC.
And then you can keep reading. Take a break.
I know about the short straw now. That's 23-23-07, approving seeker resolution -LL -SL Sherman LLC and SL Sherman 2 LLC 05-23-23-08, final approving resolution -SL Sherman LLC and 05-23-23-09, final approving resolution SL Sherman 2 LLC. A lot of L's.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Rhonda. We'll do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
Jay Churchill.
Aye.
Megan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Brad Walter. And the resolutions are unanimously approved. Thank you. This has been mentioned several times. It's an amazing project. To add to what Rich said, it's more than just a win-win. It's almost like a win-win-win-win. And thank you, Mayor, for, telling us all about this, all the different aspects that you brought together, and it's just benefiting your community. And so we're just thrilled to be a part of it.
Nice leadership.
I'll make one more comment. SL Sherman, the first one, is both in the village and in the town, which just made all this negotiation just one more layer of complexity more difficult. So the mayor has, done a great job at pulling together.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and move to new business D, Bust-I Solar Projects LLC, again, presented by Rose.
And again, I apologize. This guest speaker is also having issues. So I'm just going to call them in as well. Sorry.
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Hi, it's Rosie with the IDA. I've got you on speaker with our board. I'm just going to provide a brief overview of your application and then I'll let you take over.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Today before you, we have a application for a 10 megawatt AC solar farm located on approximately 66 acres in the town of Bust-I, adjacent to Cummins. Total project cost is $17,608,000. This solar application is also requesting a 25-year pilot for property tax abatement, sales tax abatement, and mortgage recording tax exemption. The town had done their own seeker, which concluded in a negative declaration. Construction is estimated to begin in the fall or late summer of 2023 with completion summer 2022. I have due diligence resolutions here for you today, or a resolution, not resolutions, as well as an agreement. But what I will do is let Dennis talk about the project as well as any decommissioning bonds and any site mitigation that's in place for the project. Dennis, would you like to go ahead and describe your Bust-I Solar Project LLC to our team?
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you. I was actually planning on coming down to visit in person, and then we thought, oh, the Zoom would be okay, and
sorry about that.
Okay, you rely on technology. But no, we're excited by the solar project. We've been working on it since 2018. Basically, we've actually went through the process of getting the special use permit, and town of Bustay did a secret hearing on January 3rd of 2022. Also included was the decommissioning plan. We submitted a forest management plan to confirm how we are going to sustainably manage the forest that's remaining. It's a 109 acre parcel. We're using 66 for solar, 66 acres, and the balance of the land will be sustainably managed. And we're looking forward to doing educational type conservation doing activities there. The decommissioning plan for actually in the forest management plan, no herbicides or pesticides, and that was one of the requirements from the town, which we didn't have a problem with because we don't use them anyway. With regards to the decommissioning plan, we submitted and approved a decommissioning plan to the town. It includes a $750,000 bond for both projects, Bustay 1 and Bustay 2, which the two are combined for 10 megawatts. And, basically we are in the process of finalizing some things with National Grid right now, and we're excited to move forward. I appreciate any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Ryan? Okay. Again, this is just a due diligence resolution with a preliminary agreement, so I'll let Millen go ahead and describe that to the board.
Those who's done a good job, obviously. This is your by now familiar preliminary resolution. Doesn't approve anything. It authorizes and instructs staff and council to start the due diligence process, including secret. Even though the town has done it, the idea was not an involved agency. So we will review all of the secret materials and come to you with a recommendation. We will hold a public hearing and come back to you with the results of that and start looking at a deviation hearing and come back to you with the results of the various items of due diligence before the board is asked to approve anything.
Millen.
Thank you. Jay, would you move new business D2?
Sure. Business D2, resolution 05-23-23-10 due diligence resolution and preliminary agreement. Bustay Solar Project LLC.
We have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenreiter. Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
Jay Churchill.
Aye.
Sagan Sheffield Smith.
Hi.
Brad Walters.
Aye.
Resolution is unanimously approved. Go ahead and move into new business E, purchase of the Ripley site presented by Mark and Millen.
So I've got a handout here. If we can hand this out to the board and then whatever comes back, there's nothing that hand those out, but let's make sure the board, and that's a project overview, fairly detailed. But I'm going to try to summarize the contents of that report.
Thank you.
I've been talking with the board for several years about the need for shovel-ready sites. It's a need that's prevalent throughout the state. It's especially the case here in Chautauqua County, and we've been negotiating with landowners over in Ripley, right across from where the Love's truck stop is located. Regal Trucking's right there, and there's 4 separate property owners that own land essentially behind Regal. There's a site map in there further back, and so I'm grateful that we were able to get to this point. I never realized going into this how much work this would be. It's been a lot of work. A lot of people have helped. Hannah Realty, Paula's here to sort of back me up if you have any questions that I can't answer. She's here to help. Clark Patterson Lee, subcontractors, Phillips Lytle attorneys. And so we're really excited to be finally at this point. So I'm going to sort of just kind of skim through this real quick with the board here. So you sort of have a high level understanding. The project background, we can't respond to the many site requests we get that are looking for larger sites. We have currently, we're, quite low on the availability of sites that we have in the Mason Industrial Park. We have about 66 acres, only about 40 of which is developable. Stoneman Business Park is at capacity. Airport has about 45 acres, but that's it's a lot of steep slopes and wetlands. And then the Chadwick Bay Industrial Park has 3 parcels totaling about 40 acres, but again, none of them are big. So if we have somebody come along like an Amazon, which we've had, and needs a 100-acre site or 50-acre site, we just don't have them. And so we contracted with Clark Patterson Lee a couple of years ago to really do a broad analysis of sites available. We're sort of concentrating on the North County, and we're doing the same process in the South County right now, but to look at all of the potential sites and then evaluate each one of those sites. They looked at over 40 to start with, and they narrowed it down to 3. And this particular site rose to the top because of, first of all, its location. There was a lot of work that was done prior to actually get it shovel-ready certified back almost 10 years ago. So it really checked most of the boxes. There's no perfect site, by the way. We found that out. But we went through a systematic process and to get to where we're at. If you look at the county's economic development strategy that we did, this certainly aligns with that, where we talk about one of our priorities is to develop 2 to 3 sites for targeted industries and regional market demand. And we're looking at warehousing and distribution because it's right there off the freeway. Invest Buffalo Niagara commissioned a plan. They used Newmark Frank a couple of years ago, pre-COVID actually. And they identified this county as being deplete of suitable development sites. So certainly it's warranted there. And so what else? I talked about, so we assembled a team of consultants, and we're doing the due diligence. We've been doing the due diligence, including the seeker, the archaeological survey, traffic studies, wetland delineations, preliminary engineering, and conceptual drawings, all of which are completed or nearly complete as we sit here today. Our partners are the town of Ripley, has been involved, the county, of course, and I'll talk about the ARPA money that they've to the Southern Tier West, Invest Buffalo Niagara, National Grid, the Department of Transportation, and Empire State Development have all been at the table as we work through this. And distribution and logistics or light manufacturing sectors are what we're targeting. And the town's comprehensive plan advocates for a very similar use of that land. So if we get down to the site, there's the first map, shows the project site. And you can see the New York State Thruway running through there. You can see where Love's Travel Stop is. Across the street from that, there's a road that will just south of Regal will run in and run the south end of the site all the way to the very end, along with water and sewer. So that's included in our total project budget. We're talking about part 1 of this, and you'll see on a later graphic, this is really separated into phase 1 and phase 2, but this is both phases showing there. 147 acres in total. It's 2.5 miles from the Pennsylvania border. It's located in a C2 commercial district. And that was about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, maybe they had changed the zoning there because it was ag. But it's general manufacturing, allows general manufacturing, industrial parks and business parks are permitted there. There's about 26.5 acres of wetlands acreage, including 9 wetlands and 3 small tributaries that we're working around, and we've done all that. And there's also some of the challenges are there's shallow bedrock there, and potentially some archaeological remains. Although they did do SHPO review 7, 8, 9 years ago, and got through that. And then some of the improvements include upgrading the electric, gas and water and sewer to extend it. That 3,000 feet is how long that road would be that would run along the edge. I already talked about due diligence, FEMA mapping, wetland delineation, soil survey, geological survey, traffic study, seeker, and SHPO. The project financial. So if you go to second from the last, there's a graphic there that shows a red dotted line that runs around phase 1. And that is 64 point, and I'll get this right here. 64.280 acres. And that the total price of that is a little over $2,008,920. And that was based on an appraisal that was done by a professional appraisal, KLW. And we do have options for phase 2. So once we nail down phase 1, we're gonna then move into the phase 2 portion. And then the last there's the second from the last page is sources and uses. You can see that the sources are 0.8 million from the county's ARPA funding and another 2 million from the ARPA funding. So 4.8 million from the ARPA funding. Capital projects funding, 830,000. Over the last few years, we've requested funding through capital projects, and they've been very, very kind to us. The CCIDA contribution, we're looking at around $600,000, and we're currently applying for a Fast New York grant. The state put in their budget last year $200 million for assisting with preparing shovel-ready sites. So we're going to be asking for 5 million from that, and that application is going to go in probably next week. Now, the uses of that funding will be phase 1. I talked about the $2,920 for phase 1. Phase 2 will be 2.2 million, and that's about 74 acres, I believe. Pre-development and due diligence, 125,000. Infrastructure, 6.5 million. Closing costs are 158,000. ESD commitment fee is 51,000. Others 200,000. So you can see how the $11.3 million project all said and done. Some of the other funding sources that we're chasing after is a $2 million congressionally directed funding request. We were down in Washington, and myself and some others, and we made the rounds, and it did make the list. I haven't heard if it was, I haven't heard yet that it was approved, but it was certainly on their list. We're also going to be requesting $1 million from Southern Tier West and 852 from ARC Power Grant. So if we get all those, we'll be in good shape. But it really starts with securing the catch-22 is sort of, you got to show that you've secured the land in order to apply for the grants, and that's what this does. It secures that land, or puts it under our control so that we can apply for that funding. The timeline is ongoing. The due diligence is ongoing. The Fast New York Funding Award, we're expecting the fall of 2023. The ARC funding awards fall of 2023. The congressionally directed spending appropriation winter of 2023. Property acquisition closing Q1, Q2 in 2024. infrastructure enhancements, probably sometime in mid to late 2025. And site marketing will begin once the site is really ready, and probably even before that. So that's sort of in a nutshell. Where we're at with that. Did I forget anything, Paula?
No, sir, I don't think you did. I think that pretty well covers it. One item, the phase 2 acreage, I've got 85 acres. Right.
Close.
Here.
You were real close.
Nice.
Give or take time.
Did the board have any other questions?
Yeah, I've got just a quick question about sort of the phase 1 and phase 2. So you mentioned you have options on phase 2. So is there this sort of course of action to do phase 1? Phase 2 is really down the road then. It's not. And I guess my follow-up question would be related to the infrastructure. Obviously, the design would show the infrastructure going through to phase 2. But will that stop at the boundary of phase 1 until phase 2 is developed, I guess?
Well, no, I think that we want to do all of the infrastructure at once. After we acquire this, we want to start marketing the land as being 64 acres right now and try to get some interest in the land as it is. And then move on to phase 2. Maybe you could talk about the language, Paula, in the contract, because they're sort of tied together.
Yes,
Phase 2.
Right, the phase 2 contracts, and actually the phase 1 contracts are all tied together in that every property is, every acquisition is codependent on the other. So all of the phase 1 contracts will close at the same time. And then there is language in the phase 2 contract that talks about moving forward with finalizing and closing on phase 2 after phase 1 is closed and clearly acquired by the CCIDA. So there is a sequence to it.
I think the key point is if we don't get the grant funding, if we don't get either a majority of that grant funding or all of it, we probably can't move on to phase 2. We just don't have the money to do it. Or we might decide to purchase the phase 2 parcels and then worry about getting the money for the rest of the infrastructure later. So I see phase 1 being, okay, we got the money, we can run the road and the sewer up to where that edge stops. And then when we're able to get the rest of the funding, we'll continue that road and sewer the rest of the way and then follow through on the purchase of those sites.
And there is language in all of the contracts that addresses the due diligence to be sure that the CCIDA is protected all along the way.
Great. Good questions. Any other questions? Sagan, would you move new business E1 for us?
Sure. Resolution 05-23-23-11, Ripley site acquisition.
You have a second?
Second.
Yeah, thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Gary Henry votes aye. Rhonda Johnson.
Aye.
Dan Hetzenrader.
Aye.
Kevin Muldowney.
Aye.
Jay Churchill.
Jay left.
Okay,
He had to
Jay left.
leave, but he did say yes. He wrote
Well,
it.
it doesn't count, but we still have enough.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that he supports it.
Sagan Sheffield Smith.
Aye.
Brad Walters.
That's still 6 votes as I count them.
Correct. So we still have quorum and it's unanimously approved by those currently present. Want to do your executive director's report?
Yeah, it's going to be a long meeting. So I'm going to, just say real quick about the ABO draft report, which has gone public already. Just say publicly that we're working on addressing the recommendations from the ABO. And that we will be complying with the request to submit our response by June 1st.
Thank you. Rich, would you like to present the treasurer's report?
I will be brief as well today. Again, you have in front of you the balance sheet. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the transactions we approved today will affect the balance sheet. So if we look at our fixed assets net of depreciation, you'll see that's $1.8 million. 1.47 of that is the Talcott Street building. So when we sell the Talcott Street building, we will greatly reduce our net assets fixed of depreciation, which is a good thing in my mind. But so that would result in a $70,000 loss on the sale. But the good news is if we look down under the liabilities, we have $319,000 worth of accrued interest that was on the $2 million bond that we owed the county. The county has written down their bond to 1 million. So when we sell this for 1.4 and they get the proceeds, they're actually going to be ahead of the game for what they had planned. We'll also recognize about $900,000 there to the plus that'll come off of our balance sheet. So all in all, I didn't run the final numbers, but over the years, as we maintained that building and roofs and pipes and sprinklers and that, we've invested a lot in it. So that's a good thing on the balance sheet. We're good position cash wise everywhere. Turning to the statement of revenue and expense. Comment here about the IDA application and administrative fees are, way under budget. When we get to the variance page, we'll look at that. We'll close that gap very quickly here as we have 7 or 8 solar projects that are on the verge of closing. We've been sending invoices to Millen to send to the company. So, those are going to add up quickly. They're very big projects. And what we're seeing on the solar projects, the prices have escalated over the last 3 years. Certainly it's more expensive to build them, but they're still plowing ahead with them. And so that's all good. So if we turn to the variance report, let's go over that. So under application administrative fees, we should be at about 216. We're at 21. And that's a timing issue. We have some very large projects that are going to close, and we should be well over that at the end of the year. And as I typically do in July, I will adjust the budget. We'll come to the board and discuss any of those budget amendments and why we're adjusting the budget for whatever is putting us under or over. Down under professional fees, you can see that we're 73,000 ahead of budget there, and that's due to the fees associated with the North County Industrial Park. As Mark just explained, the Ripley Park. We've had a lot of fees for engineers, surveyors, arrowhead diggers. It's probably not the technical term for the environmental, but we've spent a lot of money there getting ready for that. And again, we'll adjust that again in June. And then the last one is utilities. I mean, only do our utilities hit hard in January, February, March, but we had planned to spend, only 85 for the year. And hopefully when the building sells, the majority of those come from Talcott Street. So you're heating a 420,000 square foot building, you got a lot of gas going in. So that's it. I think we're in good shape. I think we're going to turn out to be another good year financially, and take any questions from the board if there's any.
I noticed that Kayla's not here today. Anything?
Kayla had a beautiful baby girl. She's rocking in here. Kayla's husband is a gun guy. So the first daughter's name was Satori. Second daughter's name was Benelli. And this daughter's name is Rossi. So he likes Italian guns. That's how he named his daughters, after Italian guns. But everybody's doing good. And she said that 3 is much different than 2, and that she can't wait to get back. She will be taking her time off with her. We didn't have to, as a public authority, apply for the extended disability. For some reason, government entities were exempt from that, although the private businesses had to do it. But we felt that we deal with private businesses all the time. We should act like one. So we opted into that. And that's proved to be very effective for our staff that are out having babies because they can take advantage of that. And it really doesn't cost a lot.
Right.
I remember when they first came out with that legislation, they were saying, oh, it's going to cost a fortune. Everybody's going to do it, but it hasn't. So it's worked out well for our employees there. So that's all I have.
That's great. We certainly congratulate Kayla and the family. We have a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll move.
Thank you, Sagan. A second? Thank you, Kevin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Treasurer's report is approved. At this time, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the financial or credit history of a particular person or corporation and to discuss matters relating to the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property. In particular, I would like to discuss status of our loan portfolio and the financial and credit of some of our borrowers. Also, we will discuss certain possible property acquisitions and dispositions, and I believe that discussing them in open session would substantially affect their value. Do I hear a motion? Megan, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brad. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move into executive.
You have the extra stick. Find a friend.
Let me do the loan report, Mark. Ready, Janet? Yeah, PJ.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for coming.